Most people assume that if their car gets totaled, their insurance company is going to pay them what they paid for the car, or at least what they still owe on it. And then they go through the claim, get the settlement offer, and realize neither of those things is true. The payout is based on what your car was worth the day before the incident, not what you paid for it, not your loan balance. It's current market value. And for a lot of people, that number is lower than they expected. So let's walk through exactly how this works before it happens to you. What triggers a total loss, how the payout is calculated, how to push back if the offer is low, and what to do if the payout doesn't cover what you owe. Collision versus comprehensive. Which coverage applies? Before we get into total loss specifics, let's clear up which type of coverage applies to which situation. If your car is totaled in an accident, that's a collision claim. Collision coverage pays for damage caused by your vehicle hitting another vehicle or object regardless of fault. If you caused the accident or a third party was at fault and doesn't have adequate insurance, collision is what you lean on. If your car is stolen and not recovered, that's a comprehensive claim. Comprehensive covers non-collision events: theft, flood, fire, hail, falling objects, and vandalism. It's the coverage that handles things happening to your car outside of you driving it into something. Both of these are optional. They're not required by law the way liability coverage is. A lot of people drop one or both to lower their premium, especially on older vehicles. If you don't have the relevant coverage when something happens, you're on your own for the payout. It's worth knowing which of these you actually have on your current policy before you need them. What total loss actually means. How does your insurer decide a car is totaled versus repairable? Most states use a damage threshold, typically somewhere between 70 and 75%. That means if the estimated cost to repair the car exceeds 70 to 75% of the car's current market value, the insurer declares it a total loss and pays you out instead of repairing it. The exact percentage varies by state. Some states use a different standard called the total loss formula, where they look at whether the repair cost plus the salvage value exceeds the car's full value. Either way, the insurer is making a financial calculation, not a gut feeling call. A car that looks relatively intact can still be declared a total loss if the structural damage is expensive enough to fix. If you have comprehensive coverage, a stolen vehicle that isn't recovered within a certain window, usually 30 days, is also treated as a total loss. The payout process is the same. Now stay with me here because in a few minutes, I'm gonna cover exactly how to negotiate the settlement offer, including the specific language that gets adjusters to move. How the payout is calculated. The number your insurer pays you is called the actual cash value, or ACV. This is the market value of your vehicle immediately before the loss occurred. Here's what ACV is based on: the year, make, model, mileage, condition, and recent sale prices of comparable vehicles in your area. That last part matters. The comps are local, not national. If used cars are trading high in your market right now, your ACV might be better than you'd expect. If the local market is soft, it can go the other way. Here's what ACV is not based on: what you originally paid for the car, what you still owe on the loan, what you think it should be worth, or sentimental value. None of those things factor into the calculation. Your insurer will typically use a third-party valuation tool to pull comparable listings. The problem is those tools don't always capture your car's specific condition accurately, and they may pull from a broader region than your actual local market. The first move is to get there first. Before the adjuster gives you a number, go look up your car yourself. Pull listings on Car Gurus, Auto Trader, NADA Guides, and Facebook Marketplace. Search for the same year, make, model, and comparable mileage in your specific area. Save the links and screenshots. Note the asking prices. This takes about 20 minutes and it's the single most useful thing you can do to protect yourself in this process. If your research shows cars like yours selling for $24,000 in your market and the insurer comes back with $21,000, you now have specific evidence to work with. Yes, the offer is negotiable. A lot of people don't realize this. The first settlement offer is a starting point, not a final answer. If you think the number is low, you have legitimate ways to push back. The comparable vehicle listings that you pulled are the core of your argument. Bring them to the conversation clearly and specifically. Here's the kind of language that works. I've found 3 comparable vehicles, same year, make, model, similar mileage, currently listed for sale in my area. The average asking price across those three is $24,500. I'd like to discuss how your valuation arrived at a number about $3,500 below that. That's a calm, evidence-based position. The adjuster is working from data. When you show up with better or more specific data, they have to respond to it. Beyond comps, gather your maintenance records. A car with documented service history, oil changes, new tires, recent brake work is worth more than one without. Bring those records and point to them specifically. If the gap is significant and you want to escalate further, you can pay for an independent appraisal. This gives you a professional third-party valuation to put against the insurer's number. It costs money, usually $150 to $300, but if you're looking at a $2,000 to $3,000 difference in the settlement, it can easily be worth it. The thing most people don't do is negotiate at all. They accept the first offer because they're stressed and want it resolved. That's understandable, but a 5-minute conversation with supporting evidence can often move the number. What happens if you still owe more than the ACV? This is where a lot of people get surprised. Your insurer pays the ACV on the vehicle. If you owe more on your loan than that, the difference is still your responsibility. Your insurer pays out $20,000, you owe $25,000. You still owe $5,000 on a car that no longer exists. This happens because cars depreciate fast, especially in the first 2 to 3 years after purchase, while loan balances decrease slowly. It's extremely common for someone to be underwater on a car loan, meaning they owe more than it's currently worth. Gap insurance covers exactly this. If you have gap coverage and you're in this situation, the gap insurer pays the difference between your ACV settlement and your remaining loan balance. Without it, you're on the hook for that out-of-pocket number on top of needing to replace your vehicle. If you're currently financing a car, check your policy right now to see if the gap is included. Sometimes it's added at the dealership when you finance and you may have forgotten. Sometimes you have to add it through your insurer separately. If you don't have it and you know you owe more than the car is worth, it's worth adding. The stolen car process. If your car is stolen, the process is similar, but with one additional step: a waiting period. File a police report immediately and notify your insurer the same day. Most insurers will give the car a window to be recovered before declaring it a total loss, typically 30 days. During that time, your insurance may provide a rental vehicle depending on your coverage. If the car is recovered during that window, the claim shifts to a damage claim. They'll assess what happened to the vehicle and handle it accordingly. If it's not recovered, it gets treated as a total loss, and the ACV payout process works the same way. One thing to know, personal belongings that were inside the car when it was stolen are generally not covered by your auto policy. Electronics, cash, clothing, anything personal inside the vehicle falls under your homeowner's or renter's insurance, not your auto claim. So file separately for that through the appropriate policy if you had valuables in the car. What happens after you accept the settlement? Now, once you accept the settlement offer, a few things happen in sequence. The insurer will ask you to sign over the title of the vehicle to them. They take ownership of the salvage. If the car has already been towed somewhere, they'll coordinate with the tow yard or storage facility. You generally need to remove your personal belongings from the vehicle before this transfer happens. Your license plates are your property, not the car's. Depending on your state, you'll either transfer them to a new vehicle or return them to the DMV. Check your state's rules because leaving plates on a salvaged or stored vehicle can create complications. As soon as you accept the settlement and you don't have a vehicle to insure, contact your insurer to update your policy. If you're getting a new vehicle quickly, you'll need to add it to your policy before you drive it. If there's a gap between losing the car and replacing it, you can suspend coverage rather than fully canceling, which can sometimes avoid losing continuous coverage discounts. Settlement payment typically follows within a few days of accepting the offer, usually by check or direct deposit. The full process from total loss declaration to payment usually runs 2 to 4 weeks, sometimes longer if there's negotiation involved. What to do before this happens? The best time to understand your coverage is before you need it. Check what your current policy actually covers. Make sure you have both collision and comprehensive if you want protection for accidents and theft. Look at whether you have gap insurance if you're financing and you suspect you may owe more than the car is worth. Look at whether you have rental reimbursement and check what the daily limit is. And if you haven't compared your auto insurance rates recently, we've got a link for you down in the description below to our car insurance survey. It'll bring you to this page right here where you just fill out these couple of questions, hit submit, and you'll be presented a list of the best options for your situation. Again, link in the description. It's a great place to start. So here's the short version. A total loss or stolen car claim pays you the actual cash value of your vehicle, which is its current market value based on local comparables, not what you paid. not what you owe. The offer is negotiable, and bringing your own research to that conversation is the most effective way to move the number. If you owe more than the ACV, gap insurance covers the difference. And once you accept a settlement, the title transfers to the insurer, your plates come with you, and you need to get new coverage on your replacement vehicle before you drive it. Now, if you found this video helpful and you thought this breakdown was useful, be sure to subscribe and like the video. We cover insurance in plain terms, so you know what you're dealing with before you have to deal with it. And if you want to go ahead and check out that car insurance survey down below, we'll have the link for you in the description. This is an affiliate link, which means we do earn a small commission if you use it at no extra cost to you. It really helps support the channel. But other than that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you here in the next one.